Well, I've been busy doing nothing until I get this letter under my door telling me to go to these coordinates. And it's also been signed off by my worst enemy, so yeah, I don't think they quite grasp how little that narrows it down. Regardless of who sent me this letter, free game! Dark Souls 2. I've played a little bit of Demon's Souls and then a bit of Dark Souls, so I don't really know what to expect from this. From Software, the pioneers of the most popular subgenre of video games in the 21st century, Souls-like games, renowned for their challenging gameplay and RPG elements. I've never really been drawn to these types of games. I got Bloodborne with PS Plus one year and pretty much hated it. I also remember Sekiro coming out, but that didn't exactly pique my interest in Souls-like games either. It was only recently I gave both Demon's Souls and Dark Souls a go when I learned that Demon's Souls was getting a remake for currently not in stock. What do you mean it's not called that? What's a PS5? The original Demon's Souls has an awkward name. Wouldn't it be better if it was just Demon's Souls? But regardless of its name, it was a fairly solid game. I sucked at it, but I enjoyed parts of it. I had about the same problem I originally had with Bloodborne. I thought it was too hard for me. But Dark Souls was a different story. I had a pretty inconsistent time with the first Dark Souls, but there was a literal moment where I went, "This is the greatest game I have ever played in my life." My main problem with Dark Souls is the bosses. The bosses are poorly designed. They range from pathetically easy to soul-crushing. When I would get stuck on a boss, I'd often look up what the best strategy would be for beating them, and the solution was often something called cheesing. Cheesing is when you exploit the game and take advantage of the AI. I think that's bad design. A boss should be well made enough to the point where you don't feel your actual human existence fading away. It just isn't fun, and isn't that the point in a game? To actually enjoy it? The bosses don't seem to get more difficult as the game progresses. It's like you get this really hard boss, then an easy one, then another easy one, and then a really hard one. It doesn't progress how a game should. I spent almost the entirety of my playtime dreading the next boss, just making the most of the combat with the bog standard enemies. So I can't deny that Dark Souls is fun, but I also cannot deny that Dark Souls is not fun. Hopefully with Dark Souls 2 they've improved on the things I didn't like about this game and have made an overall better product, so let's see. Garbage. Dark Souls 2 released on March 11th, 2014 on PC, PS3 and Xbox 360 to an overall mixed reception, though it does seem that people have warmed up to it over time. Somehow. Dark Souls 2 went through development hell, and it shows. It began development as Dark Souls released in 2011, with Hidetaka Miyazaki returning after working as director on both Demons and Dark Souls, now acting as supervisor. The game's original director was Tomohiro Shibuya, before being replaced by Yui Tanimura. Ah yes, replacing a game's director during development. Always a good sign. Dark Souls 2 was then announced on December 7th, 2012 at the Spike Video Game Awards. Dark Souls 2 was originally intended to have some incredible graphics and lighting effects, but when they realised that the game wasn't being made in the future, they had to scale back practically everything in order to achieve a playable frame rate on the 7th generation consoles, and the resulting frame rate was fairly smooth. But I'd sooner take a game running at 30 FPS than a game that looks as flat and dull as this. This game looks like garbage, with the game looking borderline unfinished. It's got models and a select few textures that look like they could have existed in 2014, but it's got lighting that wouldn't be out of place in a game made in 2004, and that's giving the game a bit too much credit. This looks like a fan-made mod made in the Source engine. I played the game on the Xbox 360, and I can't say for the PS3, but there were some really bad screen tearing and vertical sync issues, which just really took me out of it. The game looked so pants, they re-released the game on the 8th generation consoles with improved graphics and all of the DLC included in a version dubbed Scholar of the First Sin. Though, can you tell the difference? This is the PS3 version. Psych, it's actually the PS4 version. Dark Souls 2 is a bad sequel. Instead of fixing the issues from the first game, the issues stay and they introduce new ones. The only thing that may be better is the character creation system, which is largely unchanged because it was alright to begin with. The music is also inferior when compared to the first game, which had a phenomenal soundtrack. But in this game, it's bland and forgettable. I also felt that the art style was very disappointing, with a lot of bad guys looking kinda like stock Unity assets. And still, nobody's mouths move when they speak. I don't understand why they don't just implement a little mouth animation. I'm willing to let the first game off, but in this game there's more people to talk to you, or rather talk at you. And before you can level up, this Emerald Herald lady feels the need to constantly say the same thing over and over, and that is annoying. I have no idea how people think it isn't, because in the first game all you needed to do was go to a bonfire and then just allot the stats, but now you just have to listen to this woman ramble on for a few lines, and I know it annoyed loads of people, so I have no clue why they thought that was a good thing to include. How is that not annoying? All it does is delay your progress. And a small thing that I also don't like is the fact that when you die, the screen doesn't go black and white. It's little details like this that are missing in this game. The gameplay itself is total bobbins. There are some messed up hitboxes. It's hard to notice when you're being shot at as well, especially when it's, projectile weapons, because it's like the only thing that doesn't cause the controller to vibrate. and I also felt that fall damage was overly punishing too. Combat is slower this time around, which doesn't work when you're being pitted against large quantities of enemies in the early areas of the game. They also destroyed the Metroidvania level design with lighting a bonfire, allowing you to teleport between every other one you've lit so far. This is far crappier than in the first game, which had very satisfying level design, which created a brilliant sense of euphoria when you found an elevator that linked two areas together. Now you can just teleport everywhere. Yes, I know you could teleport in the first Dark Souls, but you had to earn that ability, with it being granted by the boob lady in Anor Londo, which is an area which appeared fairly deep into the first game. And whoever came up with the idea to make your health keep decreasing every time you respawn after death is simply just a huge jerk. Who thought that was a good idea? It's just so unnecessarily cruel. I already died and had my progress set back, lost all my souls, and all the enemies have come back to life. And now, on top of that, I have less health to deal with this shit. Dark Souls 2 misses the point the first game was trying to make, where it tried to provide the player with a fair but tough challenge. Dark Souls 2 literally gives you an achievement for dying, with it being entitled, "Welcome to Dark Souls." Dark Souls is not about dying. Admittedly, the first game didn't always live up to this code, but there was an attempt. The game is hard for the sake of being hard, and that's not what Dark Souls was. And the fact it's as hard as it is so early on in the game is really infuriating. Dark Souls 2 lacks the unique identity of the first, exchanging it for a run-of-the-mill medieval adventure game. Its difficulty is needlessly cruel, and I just cannot bring myself to beat it. Whether it gets better does not matter to me. The opening hours are so spectacularly dreadful that it has permanently tainted my outlook on the game. Dark Souls 2 is soulless, with all the talk of going hollow in the Dark Souls games. The series literally went hollow in this entry. Dark Souls 2 is quite possibly the worst game I have ever played, and I know there's probably worse games out there like Kasumi Ninja and Call of Duty Finest Hour, but this is arguably the least amount of fun I have ever had playing a video game ever. And what makes this worse is the fact that I actually really want to like it, but I can. It's the fact that I enjoyed the first game a lot. Sure, it wasn't perfect, but this is horrible. This is really horrible. You know what? There's no point. There's no point in this. There's no point in reviewing games. Pointless, 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 mega pointless, and worthless. Pointless, also pointless, non-existent, extreme garbage, poorly optimized, EA remake coming soon, motion blur, Jill sandwich, I'm done and I'm never coming back.